Hello, friends. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. I am jumping on a couple minutes early just to give everybody enough time to hop on because I have some things to say today. So I will not keep people waiting too long because if you're watching the replay, that's never fun. So I'm going to pull up Facebook so I can see comments. Say hi when you're here. Cool beans. Say hi, everybody. Where are you watching from? I'd love to know. I'm so pumped to be here. Thank you so much for jumping on with me. It's a little bit earlier than I know they usually go live, but I have a freshman orientation I have to go to tonight for my son. So, but I am so pumped to be here. Hi, everyone. Yay. Well, it is 5 o'clock, my time. So I want to get started and I want to be mindful of your time, and especially those who are watching the replay as well. I can see comments on my computer, but not on my phone. What is up with this? Oh, I hate that. Hi, everybody. Oh, dang it. They're on my computer. Maybe they'll come. Maybe they'll pop up at some point. But anyways, I'm Brianna. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to try to go through this kind of as quickly as possible, but also as intentional as possible. Like I said, I have somewhere to be after this, but what I want to talk about tonight is actually something that's really on my heart and has been on my heart, and I'm actually so pumped to talk about it because this is kind of like a newer revelation for me. And so yeah, I'm just gonna dive right in. I'm Brianna, for those who don't know. I am soon to be an executive mentor out of Texas, and I kind of just want to take you back to like the end of 2024, 2025, because this process kind of started then. And don't freak out if you want to go through this process. It's not going to take you a year and a half, hopefully. But this process of me reestablishing and recreating who I am in this business and what I wanted my business life to look like kind of started then. I just didn't know it. If you were at SFR this year and heard my breakout, you would know that my social media kind of took a change because of a friendship breakup that I went through in the 2024 year. And I really struggled with wanting to post Scentsy content because I was feeling really, really heartbroken by this friend that I had to break up with, essentially. And prior to that, my Instagram and my VIP page for Scentsy was just flooded with all things Scentsy. Like, that was 99% of my content. And as much as I loved it and I believed it was working for a period of time, the moment that I decided it wasn't working was when I still wanted to be present in my business, but I didn't want to have to show up as this happy-go-lucky Scentsy gal where fragrance was like the best thing ever, when in my heart I was struggling. And so in that year, in 2024, I decided to make a little bit of a switch up, and I decided to just kind of get real with my Instagram. And I decided to kind of do like a rebrand type situation where I said, you know what, I'm going to actually just talk about how sucky it is to lose a best friend, to have to break up with somebody who I really cared about. And so in that process, I started sharing things that were real for me, and kind of more revealed of who I am, right? I'm a Scentsy consultant. I love what I do. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and it is such a highlight and a big part of our life. Like, truly, fragrance aside, this business has changed our lives. And I don't say that lightly. I say that sitting in a home that Scentsy literally bought, like hashtag income disclosure, but like this home and us moving to Texas from California was because of Scentsy. And so the gravity of knowing that I didn't want to give up my business, and that was never an option, but just trying to figure out what's this business going to look like now that I'm actually going through something really difficult. for one of the first times in my life. Like, and that sounds so like, but like that was a really difficult period for me. There was other things going on, but that was the big thing. So anyways, my social media kind of took a turn. And then things started happening. In the Scentsy world, there was just like a little bit of confusion, a little bit of fear happening. And I don't buy into fear. I typically don't walk around in fear. I have joy down deep in my heart. Okay. I have joy for the Lord, and I have joy in this business, and I choose not to live in fear. My husband is in law enforcement, which can be a really scary position to be in today's world. And, I just choose, I have hope and I have belief that anchors me in Jesus. And so I just don't live in fear. And so when things were going on in the Scentsy world that seemed a little scary, and I saw friends panicking and I saw people leaving and all of that, it just kind of created this weird headspace for me where I wouldn't say that it was fear, but it was just like a kind of like, okay, I'm taking notice of this and I don't know what to do with it yet. But that was happening in tandem with me taking my social media and revamping it to reveal a different side of me, a more well-rounded side of me. It's like that part of me was always there, but it took this really heartbreaking situation for me to like talk about it, right? And the beautiful part about that is that it turned into me talking about other things about who I am. And in turn, when you do that, you find connection, you find people, you find your community. And so for the last year and a half, about 2 years maybe now, that's kind of been my focus. I never put my business down. I was always working my business to a degree, not to the best of my ability, but to a degree I was working my business. I was still getting high PRV. I was still taking care of my customers to the best, to a degree. And I was still doing some things, some habits and systems that I had put in place. But when you talk about recruiting, when you talk about really leading well, I knew that I was not doing the best that I could do. But I didn't want to revert back to, when we talk about back to basics, I think about there's a lot of good in that. When I joined in 2017, it was home parties and it was, you know, all the systems and all the things. And I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have been a stay-at-home mom, God bless. And, I would spend hours and hours and hours in my office, like a full-time job. And I would tell people, if you want what I'm doing to earn the trips and to do all these things, you have to work this business like a full-time job. And I think that was true to a degree, but I knew that going into this new season of revamping who I am and showing up differently and recognizing what's going on in the world and all that, I didn't want to go back to that basic. I didn't want to go back to spending hours and hours and hours in my office. In fact, my life is so full, and it's always been full, but I made time for Scentsy. And it's not that I want to take away time. It's just I want to do things more efficiently. And I think that that's a big issue that I know I struggle with, and friends that I have talked to over the last couple of months, they struggle with. It's like, it's not that you don't know what to do, it's how to do it efficiently and to make it work, right? So 2025, I was doing these things, some of it very lackluster, some of it not to the best of my ability, and also being in a weird headspace. I didn't go to SFR last year, my first SFR that I've ever missed, that was actually happening. First SFR I didn't go to, and I had FOMO, and I don't struggle with FOMO as much as I used to, but I definitely had FOMO, and I was like, dang, I missed out, but it's okay. I'm going to go to the next one. And so when this SFR came up and I had earned this incentive by the skin of my teeth, because like I said, I was not sponsoring well. I was not doing the things that I used to do because I didn't know how to do it efficiently. I didn't know how to go back to the basics, but not do the 150 miles an hour. I didn't know how to scale it back. So I went to SFR this year, and I had these ideas about how to simplify. I had been working on simplifying. In fact, I had simplified my business so much in the last year and a half prior to SFR that I felt like I was losing my grip on growth. I was losing my grip on like the ability to thrive and to grow and to bring in new people and to be able to sponsor people. I was losing my grip on that. I had simplified the process so much that I was not doing what I needed to be doing at all. And so while other things were still happening, my customers were happy, all of this stuff, I actually wasn't doing what I know I needed to do and what has gotten me here, you know? So I was feeling that way, and I showed up to SFR this year. And if you were at SFR, I hope that you feel this way. This truly was 8 years, I guess, of SFRs. This was the best one. This was hands down the most incredible coming home, rejuvenating, inspired experience. And I hope that people who watch virtually felt that, even sitting in your own home or with your friends or with your team. I hope that you felt that, because it was so electric being there that there was just like, I just had like this wave of like an aha moment, like a tangible aha moment. And the tricky thing that I have struggled with in the past, like I promise I have my struggles in this business. The thing that I struggled with in the past when I would attend Scentsy Family Reunion is that I would be on fire and I would be so inspired and I would be so like arms full of all these ideas and I can't wait to get home and implement all these things. But it's like carrying luggage with you, and when you get home, we're supposed to put the luggage down and unpack it. What was happening was, in the past, I would get home and I would just try to carry it all, right? I would try to carry every single idea and implement every single idea all at the same time, right? And I know better than that. I told my team, just pick one or two things, right? And do those things well, master them, and then move on to something else. But I wasn't doing that because I wanted to do it all. I was so inspired. And then obviously, what happens is you get burnout, right? So carrying all of your luggage and trying to unpack everything while you're holding all of your luggage doesn't work out really well. Ask me how I know. And so with this SFR, sitting in exploring the expo really was a moment for me. And then sitting in breakouts and talking with friends. I had a lot of good conversations with friends at SFR. And it was just this moment of like, all right, it's time to lock in. You have been on both sides of the spectrum. And I hope that somebody feels this way and can relate. But no matter where you're at in your business, I can tell you that I have been on both sides of the spectrum. I have done the most at 150 miles an hour, and I have been full throttle, pedal to the metal, and I have done the things, and I have earned the awards, and I have gone on the trips, and I have gotten the $10,000 paychecks and like all of that. And that's really amazing. And that served my family well. But seasons change, and I want Scentsy to be with me in every single season for now until forever, truly. And so now, in a different season, in a different world, in a different economy, with a different team and different ideas and different perspectives, I'm now thinking, okay, wait, I have moved to this side of the spectrum where my business is so simplified and I'm not where I want to be and I'm not where I was. But I slowly want to get back, but I want to do it better, but I want to do it differently, but I want to take what I've learned. So what do I do, right? And it was this aha moment of like, we got to lock in. We got to focus on what worked, simplify it. You already know how to do that. Take what worked and keep pushing forward. So it was this idea of being focused on what I actually need to be doing and working on to take the steps to bring my business back to where I want it to be. One of the speakers at the breakouts was a gentleman who talked about impossible goals. And that was the thing that really pulled me, was this idea of an impossible goal. I love a goal. I'm very goal-minded. You give me a goal and I will do everything I can to reach it, unless it is running or exercising. No, thank you. But most everything else, I will do my best, okay? And I will push myself to try to reach it and try to reach that expectation. So an impossible goal, where it calls for raising the floor, right? Raising the ceiling. I was like, okay, wait, what is my impossible goal? Okay. So all of these things in tandem was like swirling around, and this aha moment of like, okay, I have done it all. I know what to do, but I've been in a season where I'm simplifying what to do. What does that actually look like? I'm locked in now. I'm locked in. Okay? Because I know that this business works when we focus on very specific things, right? Sales and sponsoring. Those are the two things that join together cause this business to thrive. And I know that some people don't want to talk about that because either sales feels icky or sponsoring feels icky. Or maybe you're like, both of them actually feel icky and I don't know how to do either well. That's not really what tonight's about. Tonight is about understanding that in order to lock in on a goal, you have to understand the goals inside and out. Okay? And also be honest with yourself about what goals you're struggling with. Okay? And it's okay to struggle. I'm being completely honest. Before last month, before coming home from SFR, I was struggling in the sponsoring department. I can't even tell you the last time that like I had sponsored somebody or sponsored them well, to be completely honest. It had been a hot minute and it was not good. Okay. So I said, okay, I'm going to really focus on opening my mouth about my business, because good Lord, a closed mouth is a closed business. If you're not talking about your business, nobody knows that it's open, right? So sponsoring was the goal for me, that I said, okay, I really need to lock in. What did I used to do before? What worked? What didn't work, right? And it's this like process of, I do this like diagram thing. It kind of looks like this, right? Where I'm taking it all the way down and I'm saying, where is my business at right now? And if you have a pen and paper, this is where you're going to want to write it down. Where is my business at right now? Objectively. You have to be willing to look at your business objectively. You have to be willing to hold your own self accountable. Accountability partners are great. Having best friends in this business is great. But at the end of the day, it's you, yourself, and I who have to actually do the things to make the business grow, to make the business thrive, right? So looking at your business, I have spent the last few months doing this moment to moment, every so often I'll have a moment where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where my business is at. And it's not the best that it could be. And it's not the best that I want it to be. And it's not the best that it's ever been, but it can get there again. But knowing who I am now, what does that look like? Right? And then because I'm a positive person and I don't sit in negatives, and I do not like people. No, sorry. It's not that I don't like people who do this. I don't like when problems are brought to the table and there's no solution given, right? We need to be problem solvers, okay? It takes zero talent to bring up a problem. Zero talent, zero skill, okay? That costs nothing to anybody for somebody to bring a problem to the table, okay? So even ourselves, who are our best critics, okay, we can bring all the problems to the table if we're honest, and we can lay them all out. And then you have two choices. You can either choose to wallow and sit in all of those problems and look around and be like, woe is me, I have failed, I'm not good enough. Or you can do the next right thing, which is say, okay, this isn't working. What did work? What is working? Okay. And then you jump from that table and you say, okay, this is working, this is working, this is working, right? And then you ask yourself, how can I take the things that are working and simplify it, right? So for me, I'll give you an example. Customer service. That has been such a huge thing for me over the years. I am a big people person. If you've ever met me, if you know me, if you're my friend, I hope that this comes across, but I believe that it does. I love people. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. People are my favorite. And so I really, really have prided myself on giving my customers not just a transactional business fragrance thing, but instead giving them an experience. And in the past, that has looked like really extensive local order drop-offs with all the extras and all the printouts and all the things, right? And then when I moved away from all of my local people that I knew and loved, and I moved to Texas, then it looked like serving them with free shipping once a month and sending them Happy Mail. And then my Happy Mail got really extensive because I was trying to overcompensate for me not being there, and I missed them so much. And I was trying to retain, right? None of that is a negative, not at all, right? And so that customer service process was a big deal in my business. I was hyper focused on giving them an experience, and I even trained on it. I talked about it, and I still 100% 10 toes down believe that customer service is the best gift we can give to our customers. Okay, you are providing fragrance into their life, but the reason that they choose you and they're not choosing Target or they're not choosing the next Scentsy consultant is because you are bringing something to the table that nobody else has or will do. Okay, and they are choosing you. So there is a level of customer service that we should be meeting. That expectation should be blown away when we deliver a product, whether just shipping it to them or whatever. We should be blowing up the standards. Okay, customer service is so important. But what level of customer service do I need to have in order for it to be simple, duplicatable, and for my business to continue to grow? Is it the super extensive Happy Mail, right? So then I started to scale back my Happy Mail. I did a little unintentional test looking back. I think I just did it because money and, it's expensive. But that was my reason then. But I took notice because I thought, well, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't give me good results, if my customers aren't happy that I've taken away the Happy Mail, then I'm going to have to do something different, right? So I paid attention. And what I found was that removing that expense and removing that little bit of the experience and me adding to the other things that I was doing that was free. Like I send a voice note to some of my customers now when they order. And I send a voice note and I say, hey, Christina, oh my God, thank you so much for your order. You're going to love that new warmer. I know you have that other warmer. I think those look really pretty paired together. Please be sure that when you unbox it and you open it and you set it up, you send me a picture. I would love to see it. But anyways, I hope you're having a great day. Love you so much. Thank you. Okay. I'm still trying to elevate the customer service experience for them without it costing me $8 every time they order. And I have customers who order multiple times a month. My gosh. So that particular thing in my business where I said customer service is a non-negotiable for me, but can I simplify it? Can I scale it back and still get the same result, if not better? And what I found was interesting because all those years that I focused on, I did years, probably 5+ years of handwriting notes. And I would have sworn to you that I would do that forever because I thought that that was the thing that my customers were really focused on. And that if I took that away, my gosh, all of my customers would be gone. And guess what happened? I took it away because it wasn't duplicatable. And I was spending hours and hours and hours and hours writing handwritten notes to my customers, getting one response every couple of months from a customer saying, thank you so much for the handwritten note. And it changed nothing when I took it away. Sure, some of my customers might have noticed, but guess what? I still have some of those customers. So that experience to me, that recognizing what was costing me in my business, what I was gaining, I could still maintain at a lower level of effort, right? I'm exuding a lower level of effort and still getting the same results. I still have retention with my California customers despite not sending them Happy Mail. I'm still having people order from me consistently without sending Happy Mail. And guess what? My new customers who order from me never knew that I did Happy Mail, so the expectation's not there. But they do know that when they order from me or we're chatting or whatever, they're going to get a heartfelt thank you. And I think that that's more than Target does. I think that's more than Walmart does. And so I'm okay with that, right? So I've simplified my customer service experience, but I am still getting the same results and I am still maintaining the relationships with my customers by lowering that level, simplifying it. I don't want to say lowering the level, but simplifying it, okay? So once you say, how can I simplify what's working? You need to ask yourself, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, but will I still get to my goal, right? So you have to have those two ends. You have to have those two ends. You have to know where you are and know where you're going and know where you want to be and the gap, right? And we're figuring out the gap. I'm big on simplifying right now, right? I have a lot going on. I have 3 kids. They're all in school, right? But they've got stuff going on. I think my 14-year-old had more plans this summer than I did. And I am his chauffeur, his best chauffeur this summer. So I have a lot of stuff going on, but I have my business going on too. And I need to make sure that what I'm doing in my business can be done taking him across town, or, sitting and waiting for my daughter at volleyball practice, right? We all have busy, full lives, and it's okay that what once was how you could do it isn't how you can do it anymore, but we have to figure out what can we take away and still get to our goal. So simplifying it, and will it still get you to your goal? Will it still get you to the result that you want if you simplify it? If you simplify it to a point that you're like, that's not going to work. Okay, then you need to add a little bit back, right? And you need to think about, and you need to understand in your business, what are the non-negotiables? And I'm just going to be honest with you. If it does not include opening your mouth, talking about your business, having joint conversations, sharing fragrance in all of the ways, then you have to strip it back even more. If you're not doing those things, you need to add those things in and strip back something else, right? I cleaned out a lot of my Alex cabinets that I have back here that had like molds in it. Not mold, Scentsy wax molds, because I used to do that. I used to spend hours making wax molds to give to people. And now I'm like, I haven't done that in years. I need to actually just use my crinkle cutter and do that. Same effect, right? And it's still going to get me to my goal, which is what? Getting fragrance under somebody's nose. How do we do that? I did borrow bags. As soon as I got home, I did borrow bags. And I put the new testers in there, some catalogs. I don't even know what else. What else? I had an old counter clean sample. It's not even a scent that's available anymore. I don't care. I threw it in there. Attached a buddy clip to it, dropped it off at 2 people's houses who have never ordered from me before. Just posted it on my page. And they said yes. They've never ordered from me before. Simplifying everything. And I'm asking myself, am I still going to get to my goal? Will this get me closer to my goal? So with that, I have this, I like, what are they called? Acronyms. I love an acronym. I love an analogy. I love a metaphor. Okay. I love it all. I love words. And so for simple, I have this little acronym that I keep in the back of my head. Okay. And so the S is for simple. What do you know, right? Keeping what you're doing in your business simple. Can you scale it back one more, right? If you are still going to do Happy Mail, what's all in your Happy Mail? What can you scale back, right? They don't need that. They don't need that, right? Can it fit in an envelope that only costs you 50 something cents? Or are you sending packages, right? There are things in my business that are systems and habits that I have created and I have spent time on the front end that now are simple. And one of those examples is sending emails. And I have been, for many years, sending emails. I have been creating emails on MailChimp and then copying them, pasting them into the workstation email and sending them that way. I don't pay for MailChimp. It's not an expense in my business. I have created templates for all of the emails that I've ever needed to send. And so all I have to do is go in there, change the text, change the pictures. It takes me 10, 15 minutes, maybe. It's something I can do in the morning before my kids get up. It's something I can do at night. Super easy. I can do it in 30 minutes. If I'm going to work my business for 30 minutes, I can get an email out. Okay. That is something that I have created a long time ago that has served me well. It's actually something that I created in 2020. I started sending emails because I was like, or after 2020, because once the world opened back up, I noticed people shifting off of social media, and I had spent majority of my time focusing on social media. And so when I realized that some of my customers weren't responding and they weren't really on social media anymore, I was like, uh-oh, how am I going to reach out to my customers? It's not duplicatable for me to send a text message to every single person every single time there's a sale or I want to say something. So I started doing emails. Emails have worked wonders for me. Okay, I have created that system. It's still very simple. I can't scale it back anymore. I have created it so it is simple for me. On the front end, there's some things to do. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time. And there's a difference there. If I had to redo an email every time, then I would just be going into the workstation and just typing what I want to say and sending it. Simple. Basics. Back to the basics. What are you doing that you have taken so far down the line that it is no longer something basic? I remember when I used to do home parties, oh my gosh, I cringe. I used to take the big Scentsy duffel luggage bag, the rolling one. I used to take that plus like a 31 tote plus like a backpack full of stuff to people's houses. And then I had the audacity to sit there and be like, this business is so simple. Anybody can do it. But you see me rolling in 3 bags deep. No way anybody thought it was simple, right? Now, if I'm going to a home party, I'm taking 1 bag of my favorite things. My favorite things. I'm not taking every product. Back to basics, but better, right? Back to basics, but better. Some of the things we did when we thought it was basic was still too complicated. We have to learn how to do the basics better. The I in simple is intentional. My time is valuable. I have learned that as I've gotten older. Praise God for getting older. My time is valuable. How I spend my time, I have learned that I really do like turning off my brain at night and playing a little video game. Okay, I'm a simmer, so I do like doing that, and I like reading, and I like writing, and I like going on date nights with my husband and hanging out. My husband's just one husband, by the way. Hanging out with my kids, you know. So my time is valuable. So I'm going to be intentional with the God-given time to work my business. I am no longer spending 5 to 8 hours in my office. I love my office, but I don't want to be in here any longer than an hour if there's not big stuff going on. Today I spent a little bit more time in here because we had stuff going on today, and it was exciting, and I made time for that. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. You have things you could be doing. You're here. I love that you're here. Thank you for being here. But you have stuff going on. Your time is valuable. Also, your teammates' time is valuable, right? So what are you feeding them that could be cut back? What are you telling them to do that actually could be simplified? Their time is valuable. Think about the new person who's joining, the time they're spending learning how to do this business. Their time is valuable. Time is money, baby, okay? And we're here to make money. Let's just call it what it is. Are you using your time to the best that you could be? The M in simple is multiply, okay? Multiply the process. You want to be able to, also known as duplicatable, you want to be able to multiply what you're doing across generations of people that you're bringing on. If you cannot multiply simply what you are doing to the next person, you shouldn't be doing it like that. I'm not going to say you shouldn't be doing it, but you shouldn't be doing it like that. My home party example is prime example. I am helping one of my new teammates have her launch party on Thursday night. I want to show her what this looks like simplified. Yes, home parties are great. Yes, home parties are still a thing. Yes, do these home parties. Multiply this event times 100, please. But we're going to do the basics better. I am bringing a few things. We're going to set up her cute little new apartment with this stuff, and we're going to have a good old time. We're going to have snacks. We're going to do the things, but we are not going to do it complicated. We're going to multiply the process that works simply. The P in simple is personal. Now, I understand not everybody is an extrovert, and it's okay. Scentsy welcomes, and I welcome all types of types, okay? It takes all types of types to be here, truly. But people to people, personal, having personality, being willing to be who you are out loud, right? You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You don't have to be the most extroverted, but people want to see, who are you? What do you like besides Scentsy, right? And when I talk to you, is it just about Scentsy, right? I've really changed the conversations that I'm having with people. I'm really trying, what I have been doing on social media since my switch is really focusing on just meeting people, just enjoying the people. And that's such a beautiful thing. And it breathes life into you in ways that you don't expect, because yes, my business goggles are always on. I'm always in the back of my mind thinking about, could this benefit my business? And if you ask yourself that question and the answer is yes, then keep doing it. Okay? So when you are out networking, when you're meeting new people, when you're standing in line at the grocery store, when you're posting things on Facebook, when you're sharing something cool or sharing something about you on social media, all of that benefits your business. Why? Because you're making connections with people about other things that builds trust and builds loyalty, that at some point, maybe not, but maybe, hopefully, you're thinking in your brain, it'll connect back to Scentsy, and boom, trust has already been established, right? And it's not that I think every single person I come in contact with is going to be a Scentsy customer, but I think, what if they do want to be a Scentsy customer? Will they trust me when we get to that point? Have I connected? Have I been myself? Is the expectation too low? Personal. Am I being personal? Am I being personal and personable? Am I being a person, you know? I've really changed the way that I've shown up on social media, and it's been so freeing and it's been so fun. And honestly, if you have been feeling burnt out by social media, I highly recommend you do the same. Because in the seasons that I was feeling burnt out by social media, I wasn't showing up as my best self. I was showing up as my business goggles were blinding me. And maybe that's the problem for you, is your business goggles are blinding you. All you can see is Scentsy. Therefore, it's hard to want to converse about this when you're thinking about Scentsy and this trip and these people I need to sponsor and my teammates and the PRV goal and my upline and the drama and all of this. It's really hard to look past that. It's really hard to see in the dark when you've got sunglasses on. You know what I'm saying? So if social media is not bringing you joy, maybe, with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. I have so much joy with social media now because I'm showing up how I want to show up. I'm saying the things that I want to say about whatever, and I'm sharing things that are real for me. And whoever likes it, and whoever doesn't, doesn't. Not my business what people think. But I get to show up on my social media how I want to, knowing that I'm still a business owner, right? There's still that context. You need to think like a business owner in that terms. Also, I do have a part-time job, so I think about what I'm posting because of that. But like, you know what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the L for simple. Lifting others. This might just be a personal thing, but I feel like in Scentsy, this does correlate very well, because when we look at Heidi and Orville and Dan and the home office team, man, there's hardly a moment that you don't see them paired with generosity, paired with lifting up other people. And there are so many moments that I can draw on that honestly bring me to tears. And if you know, I'm not a crier. I don't cry. But there are moments that are burned into my brain and locked in my heart that I have been on the receiving end of them lifting me up in ways that they don't even know about, right? And so that paired with my faith leads me to a place of, how do I use my business to lift others up? And of course, the obvious answer probably feels like, well, we're giving the experience of fragrance, which is really awesome. And it's a beautiful thing. And it can really be a light in somebody's dark spot. And we love that. But in other ways, how do we use our business to lift others? Right? And so I think for me in this season, it's about sponsoring, and it's about loving people well through that process, right? Maybe it's feeding in some confidence. Maybe it's showing them that the door's wide open and that they can do this, and giving them the opportunity to succeed, right? Walking them through to the finish line of joining, getting their first order, lifting them up, right? And we all have the power to do that. We all have the power to impact somebody with our business in a positive way. And if you think that's just by delivering fragrance to somebody who's paid money for it, your scope is too small. How can my business bless somebody? Example, I do work part-time at a coffee shop, and we have a customer who I've become friends with. She has another small business in town, and I've ran into her a couple times outside of the coffee shop, and we just like banter now. We're locking in as friends, okay? And so she came to pick up her coffee the other day, and I said, hey, listen, it's okay if the answer is no. I know some people don't like fragrance in their businesses, whatever, because people are sensitive, but do you like fragrance? Would you be open to fragrance? And she said, yeah, totally. And I was like, okay, I would love to gift you a warmer and some wax for you to put in your business space. No strings attached. If you want to share my name, cool, I would love that. But I really just have so much Scentsy that I want to be able to bless others with what I have. So can I bless your business with Scentsy? And she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, that's amazing. And that's such a good idea. Like, that helps your business. And I said, yes, it can. But like, truly, I have an excess of something and you might have a need, right? And it's viewing our business that way, right? In all ways, we have an excess of something really great. We have this opportunity that we have, that we love, that we work in every single day. We see how awesome our home office is. We see how inclusive our Scentsy family is. And we have this business that we could bless others with. But if our mouths are closed and we're not viewing it that way and we're not seeing the opportunities, that can be a problem, right? We miss it. How can we bless others with our business? How can we lift others using our business? Looking for those opportunities. That's part of like the business glasses. Okay, and the last one is excellence. I do want to do everything that I am doing, no matter the degree of simple, complicated, whatever. I want to do it with excellence. I've become a really big fan of a jack of all trades is a master of none. So while we love to brag on the jacks of all trades, I actually do want to be really, really good at a couple of things. I want to be really good at making people feel loved and celebrated, regardless of what they have going on, don't have going on. I want to be able to love people well in whatever capacity I meet them in. I want to be able to bring people into this business with excellence. That has nothing to do with accolades, awards, goals. Like, it truly has nothing to do with any of that. Incentive trips, as much as I love an incentive trip, take me on vacation. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Actually, what I prefer is to bring people into this business and ask more questions than do more talking. And so I have gotten pretty good at, because I've had an influx of reinstatements and some new people on my team, which has been such a blessing. And so I've gotten pretty good at asking them questions. And I've had some practice over the last year and a half, being a part of a home group. We host a home group in our home, and I am a youth volunteer leader. And so I spend every Wednesday night with our youth group at our church. And if you know anything about teenagers, sometimes they can be really chatty and sometimes they can be mouths really closed. And when we're talking about things, I want them to talk. I don't want to talk at them. They have things to say. They are humans, growing adults. I want to know what you have to say. So I've gotten really good at asking questions. Questions like, why do you want to do Scentsy? Why is that important to you? What matters in your life? What do you see Scentsy doing for your family? Why do you choose me? How can I help you reach your goal? What do you need from me? Those kinds of questions I perceive as giving excellent service to people, an excellent experience as their sponsor, right? I think in the past, as much as I love being a leader and have loved being a leader, I think I've taken that for granted. Because just like your customers can choose anybody to buy from, somebody who chooses to join under you could join under anybody else if they wanted to. They had options and they chose you. Are you giving them excellent leadership? And that doesn't mean knowing everything. I've been here 9 years. I don't know everything. I really, really don't. It also doesn't mean being at the top of the company. Doesn't mean getting the fattest paychecks. It simply means giving the best extension of what you have to give. And what I know to be true for me is in the past, leadership has been a sore spot because we've had a lot of people who come and don't care to do anything. And we invest all of our time and our heart and our value and our experience into people who would rather not. But they actually don't say that, so they kind of leave you on red. That sucks. It sucks and it causes burnout. But I think that if we reorient our mindset and the thing about disappointment is that there was a expectation that was unmet. And so for me, I know that to be true in leadership is when my expectation is you want to join Scentsy with me, therefore you want to do something with this business besides press join and then ghost me. My expectation is that you actually are going to do something because you said you wanted to do something, right? 5 minutes ago, you said you wanted to have a launch party. 5 minutes ago, you said you were going to open up a party on your workstation, and now I haven't heard from you in 3 days. So now I'm disappointed. Now my feelings are hurt. Now, why do I even bother? Right? Instead, what I've realized and what I am training myself still currently to do is it's not the absence of expectation, but it's the proper reining of expectation, right? So I have to corral my expectation. I want to expect the best, but know that may not be true. And when you prepare yourself in that way, sure, we're human. Of course, there's still some disappointment. There can be still some frustration there. That's all normal. But it feels a lot less big when we corral in the expectation. So instead of believing this much about a person until they show us, maybe we say, all right, you said it. Now let's do it, right? And every time they do it, then your expectation continues to grow with their action, right? And it's just a balance. It's just a walking with somebody through something, right? And I'm no stranger to disappointing people. I've disappointed a lot of people in my life, and I hate that. I hate that I've done that, and so I don't think any less of a person who has decided this business is not worth it to them, or they don't want it, or something has changed and I have no idea. That's okay. Truly, it's okay. But what I am going to strive to do is at every step, regardless of their action or inaction, I will choose to proceed with excellence on my end. Because at the end of the day, and not to get deep, but at the end of my life, what I would like to say is that I have done everything that I believe was required of me and above. Even just like a baby step above, right? So the simple acronym, simple, intentional, multiply, personal, lift others, and excellence. Bringing it all together. What I have done to take the hustle out of this business, because I'm not hustling. It's not a race. And we hear that a lot. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But man, I was sprinting in the beginning. It felt like my feet were on fire. And maybe it felt that way for you. Or maybe you've been in a season where it's just like, I've got to hustle, hustle, hustle. We don't need all that. We don't need all that. What we need is to enjoy where we're at and the journey that we're on in this business, to take it for what it's worth, to do the absolute best that we can on the way to where we're going. So I'm just being who I am on social media and in life, but like on social media, I am the most well-rounded version of me on social media than I have ever been. And that is freeing and that is rewarding, because I know that the people who I'm interacting with are also getting the best version of me and not just some Scentsy coded human. I'm actually sharing more of who I am. I'm opening my mouth about my business. I'm not doing it in some sort of, I have to have 10 join conversations today. Good goals to have. Don't get me wrong. Good goals. If you need goals, that's good. But I'm opening my mouth about my business and about the opportunity as much as it's laid on my heart. And I'm intentional about it. And I'm honest about it. But I'm doing it. I'm asking people, do you want to host a party? Have you ever thought about doing what I do? Would you be willing to do this? I'm incredibly focused on the right tasks. So going back to the luggage analogy, the SFR thing can really mess us up if we let it. Because we can come home so excited, so motivated, so inspired, and we have all of these ideas, and we get this analysis paralysis where it's like we've got all this stuff that we want to do and we have no idea where to start, so we're just not. And it gets us nowhere. Instead, I knew during SFR, and it's okay if you didn't, and now you're thinking about it, time doesn't matter, but at SFR, I was actively thinking about sponsoring. I was actively thinking about coming home and doing the right things, focusing on the right things, being intentional with the right people. I mean, all people, right? But now I came home and I sent out an email to all my frontline and I said, hey, do you want to do something different in this business? Do you have goals that you haven't met yet and you're stuck? If that's you, I want to talk to you. And I put them all in a group. I said, hi, we're here together. This is going to require participation. This isn't a sit back and hang out. We're going to focus on the right things. We're going to reorient our thinking and we're going to focus on the right things. We're going to focus on taking the next steps towards the business that you want, right? All of them told me what they wanted. It's all very similar. That's why they're all in a group together. You all want the same thing. You all want to sponsor people. You all want higher PRV. You all want better paychecks. Cool. We can do that. We all, no matter what you want in this business, unless you are just here just to get your stuff for free, anything beyond that requires the same things. Opening your mouth and talking about your business, selling Scentsy to whatever degree that looks like, and sharing the opportunity and bringing people on. Not stopping at sharing the opportunity, right? We say that a lot. Share the opportunity. Share the opportunity. Yes, share the opportunity, but also make sure you're bringing people in. Focusing on the right tasks. And my favorite thing that has forced me to slow down even when I want to run 500 miles an hour is creating space for others. I cannot go 1,000,000 miles an hour and create a good space where people can thrive at the same time. I just can't. I wish that I could, but I can't. So that has forced me to slow down. I've had to say, okay, I have to make time for this space, this person, this problem. I have to make time for this. In a version of me in the past that would have said, I don't have time for that. I'll get to that when I can get to it. I'll spend 2 seconds on it and then move on. I actually just want to create space for people. And then whatever happens in that space happens. Right? Getting to where you want to go the fastest is not a race against anybody else, because we're all doing our own business. We're not competing with anybody else. And thank God for that. This is a business where I believe in my core that competition is not a part of it. So running a race is a detriment to yourself. The hustle is unnecessary. The intention and the direction actually matters a lot more. Because if you get to the finish line, but you went the wrong way and you are a broken version of yourself, what good is that? Right? Reorienting our mind, simplifying the process, figuring out what our goal is, and focusing on what gets us to our goal, doing the basics better. That has been my journey the last 1.5 years, and truly being played out in the last 3 months, 3 to 6 months, but on fire since SFR. And I don't believe in manifestation, not my thing, but I do believe that God blesses what you focus on. That's my personal belief. Or God blesses the desires of your heart, right? And when you're walking the correct path, that's where you see all of the goodness. And so for me, knowing that sponsoring was my focus and that I was focused on creating spaces for those people and asking the right questions and asking questions, that has come to fruition in a lot of ways. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. My impossible goal, by the way, really scary thing to say out loud, but I'm not being paid at Tidal. My impossible goal is to be paid at Tidal by next SFR, which is going to require a lot of excellent leadership. It's going to require a lot of lifting others. It's going to require a lot of these tasks that I know are the right things, but it's going to require me to do them and to be consistent. So I encourage all of you, no matter where you're at in your business, no matter where you haven't been, where you have been, where you're coming from, where you want to go, no matter what, I want to encourage you to stay inspired, to be excited about the future of this business, but to be intentional about the moves that you are making and where you are going. Take joy in what you're doing. Take joy in all of the things that you're doing. They are all beautiful pieces of your Scentsy business. And it would be a shame to miss out on them. It really, really would. So I love you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I can't wait to see all of the beautiful things in your business come to fruition. Love you.